looking at a Train S-Series furnace. And this has got the metal door with the screws on it. So this is like your S8X, kind of the standard version furnace, the plastic door with the little hex key locks. So when you see somebody working on one of these, this isn't the, you know, it's 80%, just a kind of a basic furnace. It may still be 2 stages. Just put this one in earlier this month. This is your A2L coil right here. So get you a little bit of light, and this is your leak sensor that Train's putting on these things. There's your little warning tag right there, and then your oh gosh, where's the model number on this thing? This is a 5TXCB04, but this has got your A2L in it, and this is your little monitor right there on the case coils for your refrigerant leaks. So this sensor, or the leak detection sensor, is inside the cabinet on the drain, mounted to the drain pan, and it communicates through this back to the furnace through the controls. So this is what Train is doing with the A2L stuff, but I'm not here for that. I am here because we have another issue with the nuisance E04 and those reverse airflow sensors on the back of the blower housing. Another tech was out here and the thing was stuck open, and he thumped his. You saw the other video I did. You bump it hard enough, it would reset, but it would eventually trip again. This one would not reset. He thumped it, bumped it, it wouldn't reset. It was stuck open, so we put a, I think he said he put a universal switch on it, universal limit switch. There's another one on the other side rated for like 110 degrees. We've got the different pressure rating or temperature ratings for those universal switches, but it's something that can keep it going because his wouldn't reset. Blower housing out of here, and get my extension here, and I have two. There's two mounted on the blower housing. One of them was bad, the other one wasn't. I mean, the thing's not even what, 3 weeks old. So got both of them. We're gonna go ahead and replace them both and be done with it. That's another limit from the job I did a while ago. So anyway, let's start getting this stuff out of the way. Right there, you'll see where the harness comes back in here. And from that little leak detection sensor on the coil comes back over here, and then it wires in, and it basically will break the Y circuit, turn the thing off, and I think runs the blower to circulate air until you get that volume displacement down. And I think it'll let the unit come back on and run again. But each time you get a certain volume of that refrigerant in there, which is typically going to happen when the system's off and the coil's leaking, that cabinet's going to fill up, and that volume of that refrigerant in the air is going to increase. And so I'm guessing it'd probably have to be a pretty bad leak, but when the blower's running, you can have airflow through there, so it's going to keep that stuff dissipated in that cabinet. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, we'll find out the first time we get one leaking, I guess, which it being a Train, it probably won't take that long. But anyway, so I'm gonna get this plug off of here, and remember these two yellow wires here. If you're going to check the circuit on that reverse airflow switch, you got these two yellow wires. One goes in through each switch and then it comes back. So if you get one of them open, you just check across these two wires, see if you got an open circuit. And that's kind of how you'll do that. And then getting this door off. not that bad. The blower is behind this door right here. There's our door switch there. So that breaks if this door comes off, which it shouldn't, to tell you the truth. It's got 50,000 screws in it holding it on. But anyway, let me go ahead and get this off and get it out of the way, and then we'll get this blower out. Okay, so we got the door off. And I mean, once you get the stuff, I mean, just that one plug harness right there where it connects back in through the door with that. Once you get that off and you get your door switch out, everything stays to the front of the door. And the harness is actually long enough that you can lay it right up here on top of the unit, right out of your way. And pretty simple. It's not that bad. These S-series furnaces, I think I remember when I went through the classes on them back, it's been a few years. They brought technicians in and got advice on how to design this thing to make it easier to work on, easier to access what you're working on. Just like the heat exchanger, it's kind of similar to that door, the way it's set up and screwed in across the bottom. So once you get your stuff off, that heat exchanger in this furnace actually slides on rails in and out. So older furnaces, trying to remember putting those things in, trying to get the bottom of it up, get it balanced, get the back of the heat exchanger cells inside all those little divider things on the back side of the cabinet. This one slides in on rails, so it just slides right out, slides right in, put your screws back around, and basically it's just like sliding this blower housing in and out. So anyway, alright, so let's back up just a hair and get this thing out. There we go. Just trying to get the camera in a better spot. Anyway, so these are those reverse airflow switches. We put a temporary limit on this one, and I mean, these are 110 degree limits, best I know. This thing's still set on 175, so you really need to turn it back to like 130. But anyway, that's what I'm talking about there. Here's one right here, and there's one on each side of this blower. So this was the one that was the problem. So we're going to get this one out. And what kind of screw is that? That's a 1/4 inch screw. There. Yep. Little Vessel electric screwdriver I brought. I just put a 1/4 inch 5/16 flip bit in it and replaced my nut driver handle. So I'm going to try this thing out, break the screw loose, and then use the electric screwdriver to pull it out. So anyway, yeah, these things, I mean, like I said, this unit's only a few weeks old, and this is the second time this year that I have had to, yeah, what's the limit on that? Yeah, 110 degrees. So I'm going to check the static on it when we get it back on. But if it was an airflow problem and a temperature problem, I would have to assume that the thing would reset if it was working properly once everything cooled back down. Remember that last one I went to, found a set of these, the thing was stuck open, and it was 65 degrees inside the return, or inside the furnace. He had it turned off, and it should reset when it gets below 95. What is that? What is it? Oh, I think that's a -20, 110 minus, yeah, 110 minus 20. So it should reset once it gets below 90 degrees. And it does not. So, I don't know. Cheap parts. We're going to go ahead and replace both of them, because if I just replace the other one, that one will quit. And I'll be back out here doing this all over again. And hell, these may quit. They're the same switch. I don't know why we're having so many issues with these. But we are. But yeah, I am going to check the static just to be on the safe side. I really don't understand if you don't go in straight though, that screw will not. It's got low torque on it, but there we go. This saves me all the twisting of my wrist. There we go. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, are these going to do the same thing in 2 months or whatever? This is the third one this year. We've had these not working right. So we're going bad, reading a bad temperature. Missing a screw on this one. If you put it back in or not. Oop. Up here, I don't see one laying around. Don't really need both of them. It's not going anywhere. Alright, so let's get this thing slid back in there. Staple. Well, that was simple enough. This other one back in there. Trying to figure out what this third one was there for. There was only one on the top and two on the bottom. Not quite sure, but we'll put it in there. Okay. Alrighty. So we'll get our door back on. Back in there. Getting this thing back in is a little bit of a pain in the ass. There we go. There we go. Turns like that. Okay. Just kind of set it back up in there. And get our screws back in the door. pressure switch goes back up here. And we'll start putting all these screws back in the door, and then we'll turn it on and see what it does. Alright, so we got this all junk right there. How many of these sensors are going to be a problem when there's not a leak and it tells you it picks up one because it's picking up nothing? How many of these are going to go bad? Shutting people's systems down, telling them they got a leak when they don't. They can't even make a little limit switch that works right. And that thing's supposed to work right. We'll find out. Anyway, let's turn it back on. And the fault related to this is the EO4. So, oh, and it makes noise too. So anyway, let's get this thing on. And it is a single stage. Make it the pressure switch connected. And look at that. They run that right across the front of the flue. And how hot's that going to get before there's a hole burned in it? Let me see if I can figure this out. Well, that is what it is. I mean, it's hot there and it doesn't melt, but I just don't like the idea of that thing laying. I can't run it through the back because then it'll be laying against, it'll just be laying across the top of the collector box of the heat exchanger. It'll get just as hot. I guess we need to have a longer hose so we can pull it back and strap it up or something. Engineers, overpaid. Anyway. Okay. We'll let this thing come on, then we're gonna check the static, all that, just a quick spot check. Alright, so zero this thing. That's a little 0.6. That's a little high for the return. Check the filters down there and see what they got. This thing won't last. What's that going to do? Don't know. Anyway, guys, appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, and see you on the next one.